Welcome. Welcome to the Onyx Path News. My name is Matthew Dawkins, as it always is and always has been, and probably always will be. But you never know. You never know what the future might hold. In this particular episode of the Onyx Path News, we're going to be talking about a tasty bit. Because last week we released a new tasty bit for Scion that explored the sacred temple of Chichen Itza. And do not despair, loyal viewers and listeners. Despite the title of this video, it isn't really on fire. I use that to draw you in, to lure you, because who isn't enticed by the sight of a rampaging inferno? Now, this new tasty bit for Scion has all kinds of fun stuff in. You have got antagonists, you've got story hooks, you've got maps. You've basically got everything you need to set a story at Chichen Itza and therefore really get into the background of one of the pantheons in Scion. It's a really good opportunity to delve into a part of Scion you may not have explored already. What else do I want to talk about? Well, for one thing, that is available below. But I know you. I've been watching what you've been up to. And I know that when I asked you the other week to review some of the books that you bought from us on DriveThruRPG, you went ahead and did that. Because the number of reviews and ratings on our books have spiked in the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to say a big thank you for that. Obviously, the work never ends. If you have purchased something from us and you haven't rated or reviewed it, it is hugely appreciated when you do, because it results in more people buying the books, which means we get to create more books. So if you haven't done it, please consider doing so. It takes less than 10 seconds. And if you have done it, a massive thank you so much. Now, we're entering the month of July, and of course, in the month of July, we have a new crowdfunding campaign that will be coming up later in the month, which will be Mythic Shards for Scion. We will have an episode dedicated to Mythic Shards coming up on the Onyx Pathcast in the next few weeks, but in the meantime, I very strongly recommend you check out the Scion panel from Onyx PathCon that is available on this channel. The developers, or in fact one of the developers of that book and several of the writers on that book, discuss in quite some detail what you'll be able to see in Mythic Shards, and that might not be all. Depending on how that crowdfunding campaign goes, you never know. There might be additional content we get to add, and it will be partly on you to suggest what you want to see in there. So what is Mythic Shards about? Well, it presents various different approaches to Scion, if you like. You have your four-color Scion, you have your Scion Space Odyssey, you have your Scions in hiding, essentially Scions being hunted because they are having to live cloak and dagger existences. That's my favorite one. I've described it as a Watchmen style Scion, where the gods and the myths aren't all open. They're all scuttling around in the background. That is something I like a great deal. And there is more than that. And I strongly recommend you check this book out when it comes out on crowdfunding. I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to do rather well. And it's the first book of this type we've done, because we, of course, released Scion Dragon and Masks of the Mythos. Scion Dragon more or less embeds quite nicely in the existing Scion milieu, and Mask of the Mythos, I suppose, is a little closer because it's like a horror version of Scion, and I very much recommend both those books, especially a big fan of Mask of the Mythos, but I am a big Call of Cthulhu fan. But if you want to whet your appetite on the kinds of things that Mythic Shards will contain, those are two very good books to go to in the meantime. We, of course, have a new release coming up this week, and I just wanted to spend a brief moment saying thank you again so much to everyone who submitted errata on No Gods, No Masters. I don't get to co-develop or develop in the Scion line very often, but it's wonderful to see how much positive feedback No Gods, No Masters received. So thank you very much for that. The errata for that book has now closed. It has been incorporated, so expect to see an updated version of that PDF and print-on-demand version in the next few weeks with any luck. Branch Riders, the crowdfunding campaign for Branch Riders is still ongoing. If you haven't looked up Branch Riders yet, because maybe you don't tune into the Onyx Path news very often or you don't keep up with our releases, I really recommend you look it up. It's something of a sleeper hit. It hits funding very, very early on. And while it isn't by Onyx Path specifically, various of us have assisted with it. And it is a project we are all too happy to support because it is run by the charity, the Badhana Group, and they have put together such a fantastic RPG with so many fantastic, colorful, playable options that are really going to work both as a standard gaming experience, but also part of its intention is essentially therapy through gaming. So do check out Branch Riders if you haven't. You'll be able to find the Branch Riders campaign on Kickstarter. So if you go over to Kickstarter and type in Branch Riders, you will find it right there. And hello, Corbin. Hello, Corbin. Thank you very much for tuning in live. Now, as Corbin is here, it would be remiss of me not to mention Curseborn. And Curseborn is still making waves. Lots of people talking about it. Lots of people talking about the Ashcan. Another one. We need to say thank you very much to all of you for submitting such brilliant feedback on that. We have incorporated some of it, a lot of it. We have, of course, read every single comment you've made. And we would encourage you to keep discussing it on the Onyx Path Discord and indeed anywhere else where you discuss role-playing games. Try and convince other people to pick up the Curseborn Ashcan. It is incredibly low cost and a brilliant entry into what Curseborn will be. We will, of course, be talking about Curseborn a lot more in the coming weeks and months. And there is an Onyx Pathcast episode we will be launching relatively soon, where the host will be talking about the conjecture surrounding Curseborn and maybe confirming or denying some of the sources of conjecture. So, and the Sacred Temple is indeed for Scion, temporary 67315. So thank you very much for the question there. Now, I need to get off to the Monday meeting. So do pick up the Sacred Temple. It isn't actually on fire. Again, I just said it because I knew it would draw your eyes. But you could set it on fire in this book. It is linked below. I don't recommend setting fire to Chichen Itza. That is not a formal recommendation by Onyx Path Publishing. And yeah, the curse appears to have lifted. Maybe that is maybe I'm speaking too soon, but right now it feels like the curse of Curseborn is well and truly gone, and we can all say a goodbye to that curse. May you never darken our door again.